Good evening, welcome along to the Rangers. Bravo Rangers 2, Hibs now. Very, very comfortable win. We'll talk about it a bit more in depth in a wee second. But yeah, hello, I'm Martin and I am joined by Brian. Brian, who almost never made it. Fotheringham, how are you?
50 pence in the meter, all's good, thank you.
50 pence in the Peter. Is that not what you said,
50
Brian?
pence in the meter.
Mark again. Mark doing a bit overtime. Mark, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Thanks.
All good. And for our Patreon and YouTube membership listeners and watchers, Alex, who's probably done more work for me in the last 3 weeks than what I have. Alex, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah,
good. Right, hello to everybody in the comments as well. Good to see you all. Please do get your comments in. I promise I will try and read out as many as I can. But as the shows go on, the comments just get more and more and more. But I will try and read out as many as I possibly can. Right, so Rangers 2, Hibs 0. Mark, we spoke just before we came on. A strange game in many ways. It ebbed and flowed. We were never in any trouble, let's be honest. We were a class above. But did Rangers kind of tonight pick and choose when they wanted to play?
Yeah, I think you're probably right with saying that. I mean, we come at the traps flying, absolutely flying. We looked tremendous. We looked brilliant again for the first 20 minutes. And then it was a wee kind of silly spell, about 10 minutes or so, that we kind of, for some reason, took our foot off the gas. And then towards the end of the first half again, back on the gas again and flying again. A wee bit strange. But hey, look, we overall, it was a great performance. I thought we played some lovely stuff. All good, all positive.
Yeah, it was. Brian, I think 2 weeks ago, or maybe even a week ago, we looked at these two games coming up, Hearts and Hibs, especially after the Old Firm debacle. I think a lot of us were quite worried. We were saying, look, Hearts, probably the third best team in the league. Hibs always give us a game. Probably, to my memory, the most comfortable I think we've been against Hibs.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, going in these two games, especially after last week, was a bit of a concern because you were thinking, well, as you say, Hibs and Hearts always give us games. But no, I mean, what was it, 7 goals, no, not letting any in. So you've got to be happy with that with the two sides from Edinburgh, even though we're at home.
Yeah, no, look, Battle Fever is saying, look, 3 points is the main thing, and we got them. Alex, I think if we probably look back and watch the game again, it'll probably seem a lot more comfortable, I think, than what we are sitting here right now. But for periods of that game, I mean, the difference in performance for 2 weeks ago is night and day.
Yeah, big time. I think there's probably 75 minutes of that you can come away particularly happy with. And the rest of it, you're not too bothered because nothing comes of it. I think the 75 minutes that you can be happy with is good football as well. And I'll be a bit nitpicky here and say we definitely should have had more goals.
Yeah, I know. Look, but goals are great, Mark, right? But that I don't want to harp back to it too much, right? But that game against them, we were soundly beaten. We didn't show up. Everybody was in a state of no panic, but anger maybe. We haven't really turned up all season. But I mean, so to not turn up basically, right? Put in that performance against Hearts, and then not go into this game with as much intensity maybe as the Hearts game, and to come away with a 2-0 win. Maybe not playing our best, but controlling most of the game. It's good to see.
It's great what happens when you press, eh?
Well, yeah.
Just pressing. That's all. To me, that's really the main difference in the way we've been playing all season in the last couple of games. We're pressed high. There's intensity there. We're moving the ball quicker. I mean, how many times have we said, move the ball faster? We need to move the ball faster. Now we're doing it. So, and to be honest with you, we're like a different team. Every pass looks firmer. It looks more direct. It looks as if people are fighting. I seen Kamara sprint 30 yards to press twice tonight.
Yeah.
Night and day. Absolutely night and day. So, see if they keep this up. we're right in with a good shout of retaining this title again. Easy.
Right, we need to get this out the road and move on for it. We'll probably discuss him a bit later on as well, right? But Ali Quinn's got a question, right? Would you have Ryan Porteous at Rangers? Right, now, I feel comfortable answering this for all three of you, right? So my really, really short answer is no. You all agree with that very quickly?
Yeah, big time.
Right. Brian, can we now, not us Rangers fans, but watching that tonight, can the rest of the mainstream media have fawned over this guy for some unknown reason? Can that all get put behind him now? Because from what I've seen tonight, see when he can't wind somebody up, the boy, I'm sorry, right? He's a better player than me, right? But as defenders go in the top league in Scotland, he's average at best.
Well, in the games I've always seen him, and I only watch him against Rangers, obviously, his main role in that team is just to wind up Morelos. Simple as that. He does everything he can, and I'm afraid tonight Morelos just rose above it all. You know, his disciplinary record's been brilliant this season, and Alfie just didn't take any bait tonight. I mean, I think Alfie pushed him quite early in the first half, and he just stood up. I think Porteous just stood up and started laughing. I think he kind of knew then, well, okay, I'm not getting anything out of this guy. So, but no, I've never seen. He's just one of these guys that he thunders into tackles, and everybody thinks that's great. Well, it's fair enough having a good tackle, but if you don't do anything with it, there's no point. But I've never understood the media fawn over him. I really haven't.
No, he's Alex 22 going on 14 mentality wise. He gives the ball away a hell of a lot. I mean, I don't know how many times he gets skinned tonight as well. So I'll finish with you on him and then we'll move on. Ryan Porteous, can we just put it to bed now?
I actually,
Alex,
I'm going to get a little bit of stick for this, but I actually thought he was probably Hibs' best defender tonight. That's not saying he's good, but I think he was probably Hibs' best defender tonight. I think the media have absolutely, overrated him, and that's probably gone to his head a bit, because he was a raw talent with maybe a little bit of potential, and he's literally dropped big time. When everybody said, when he first came through, it reminds me of, like, on a higher scale, the whole Jesse Lingard thing is people, like, still maybe last year, a couple of years ago, we're calling him a prospect, a talent, where the guy's like 26, 27 years old. He's coming to the latter, like, the second half of his career, and that's what I feel like we'll always get with Porteous is, he'll come good in the end, but the end will come sooner than him coming good.
Yeah.
Can I just?
I totally switched off there when you were about to make a point because I knew where you were going. So yeah, on you go, Mark.
So with him, I understand why the Hibs fans love him. We had a couple of players like him, El Hadji Diouf, Joey Barton to a certain extent. They're arseholes, but they're our arseholes. Do you know what I mean? So that's why they love him. And I think that he's one of these figures that everybody loves to hate. But if he plays for your side, if he plays for your team, they all love him because he is an arsehole. Do you know what I mean? So I can see why they like him. As far as I'm concerned, he's an arsehole.
Aye, but the thing is, Mark, the Scottish media weren't saying that, El Hadji Diouf and this was the next big thing. You know what I mean? They called El Hadji Diouf for, what he was, a wind-up merchant. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's move on for that because I'm finished.
Hibs is level, and that's it.
I don't even think he's good enough for Hibs, and that's saying something. Anyway. Look, good point for David Brandt here, Mark. Look, GV, excuse me, man. I'm struggling tonight. Gio has passed his first test in terms of reaction, 7 goals, 0 conceded, 2 games, potential banana skins. And that's something that we shouldn't overlook. I kind of mentioned it slightly at the start, coming off of that horrendous Glasgow Derby, Old Firm, whatever you want to call it, I don't care, result. And Gio was asked to stand up, the players were asked to stand up, and so far they have.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as Rangers fans, we're bipolar, aren't we? It's a disaster. One bad result, and it's a disaster. People are shouting for his head, and I mean, look at the boy's record since he came in. Speaks for itself. See if he was at any other club in the world, they'd be raving about him. Two games ago, we're shouting, shot him, sack him. All sorts of the backroom staff get shot him all. So I think sometimes you just need to kind of sit back. It's hard for us to do because we're so passionate. We love the club and we hate getting beat. We hate even drawing, never mind getting beat. So I think sometimes in a cold light of day, you need to maybe sometimes take a wee step back and have a look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is his record's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And reaction is probably the best reaction that you could have possibly asked for.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. There's no denying that. We've came up against the third best team in the league, and I'm not really sure where Hibs are now. I don't know where they're going under Sean Maloney, but hopefully it's down.
Seventh.
Sorry, what did you say, Brian?
Seventh Hibs.
Yeah, seventh going. What's that? Sorry, I just seen my name and then Martin doing a great job, but you should get a season ticket for the rabble. Well, you know, who knows what the future holds. If everybody was to sign up to our Patreon and YouTube memberships, then, you know, the rabble might be able to get an executive box and do our podcast there. But hey, that's all I'm saying on it. Right, Brian, we said we started the game well. Ryan Kent looked in for him, gets into the box, gets a penalty. We already know that the penalty to Rangers signs were up everywhere outside Rangers Twitter. But is there any way you can argue that's not a penalty?
No, I mean, no, even Kevin Thompson was mild 50-50 Hibs Rangers glasses. Even he was saying it was a snowballer. So I don't know what McGinn was moaning about to the referee and all the Hibs defenders. It was as clear as a penalty. Kent skinned the boy and he just done him, and that was it. And Tav took up the. I'm still never convinced by Tav's penalties sometimes, but I mean he put that one down the middle, and it was a great start. Another hot start again, like Sunday.
Yeah, Kent did start well, Alex. In fact, he played well throughout the whole game. You kind of get a feeling with Kent at the start of the game if he's going to be on it or not. But he was phenomenal. But just going back to the penalty, can you, as probably one of the more level-headed people, maybe it's just because you're so young, and you obviously still live in your parents' attic. Can you give any defence at all for why that could not possibly be a penalty?
I'll start with the defence of the attic. It's the girlfriend's house. So, and then second of all, I'll jump on to it is 100% a penalty. McGinn's going for the whole, I got a touch on the ball. But if I go and boot a player 5 yards that way and then get the ball, you know, I mean, you can't say that I've not got the ball, but it's still a foul. I'm surprised he never got booked, and we should have had more penalties. We should have definitely had another one off of when Kent goes down. But yeah, back to the whole Kent point. Yes, he was you know, he lives for those moments because he does. That's his game, is to take somebody on, and when he beats them, they rarely can get a foot in him. And as Hibs have found out twice this season already, when they do, he goes down, and his silky skills win penalties.
I know, and look, Cubby Cupster's agreeing with Brian here, Mark. Tav takes too short a run on a penalty. I don't care how long your run-up is on a penalty, as long as you score it. And look, nobody in the world scores 100% of the penalties that they take. But I don't get where this nervousness for Tav and the kind of overreaction to Tav in general comes in, because he's been by far the best right back we've had in 30 years. Mm-hmm. He's been one of our most reliable players. He scores far more penalties than he misses. So why the nerves?
Yeah, to be fair, let me just say, I think it was outstanding tonight. I think it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. For me, I know what they're saying. For me, it's not a Tav penalty thing. It's when I see anybody taking one of these stupid run-ups in a penalty, I'm just like, what? Understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to not give the goalkeeper enough time to set themselves. So that's the whole point of it. But they're so hard to get right. So hard. I'm old school. I'm get yourself back to the 18-yard box, take a run and leather it. So,
listen, George Albert's mark was a long time ago.
I know, but
penalties
to me,
have changed. Times have changed.
But just it gives me the fear. I'm like that because it's so easy to miss hit one of these wee daft 2 steps, and I mean, Roofs is even worse. Roofs gives me the fear. I'm behind the sofa hiding like It's scored that. What's happening? It seems as if you get the ball down, take a good 8 or 9 steps and leather it, you know at least there's a better chance of you just hitting the back of the net, even if the keeper puts a hand to it. It's going to hit the back of the net with just sheer power. But you can place it with power like that as well. So this wee daft 2 steps and all that, it just gives me the fear. It's just something that I just don't like. Personally, it's a personal thing. I think probably us Rangers dads are probably all feel the same about it.
I've got a daughter, right, but I'm still youngish, so don't hit me with that Rangers dad part. It's only because you and Brian are both in your late 50s, early 60s that you like that. Right? Now, I have to say, Alec, right? Now, see if somebody slags you, right? You take it like a man, right? What you don't do is, you don't message your missus.
No. I never messaged her. Don't worry.
No slag in my attic, please.
All I'll say is, I never messaged her. She's an avid watcher of the Rangers rabble. Anytime that she can see my face, you know, I don't blame her.
So why does she put you in the attic then?
This is our bedroom. So.
In your parents' house, I get it, right? That's fine.
No, it's not my parents' house.
Right. Alec, Leon Balogun obviously went into a challenge with Paul McGinn. Paul McGinn went off injured. And then Balogun went off injured, which, in the terms of our season, it's not great. We've got Hollander coming back soon, but he's not played for so long. It leaves us quite short at the back. So let's just hope for Balogun's sake and Rangers' sake that it's just a precaution.
Yeah, I hope he's okay. I really do. The defender that you want in the big games, especially with Dortmund just around the corner. But saying that, I really also hope that Gio doesn't throw Hollander in the deep end, you know, going away to Annan on that plastic pitch. And I'd actually prefer to see a bit of action for Leon King. Whether we'll see that or not, I doubt it. But I doubt it. But yeah, I'd like to see Leon King just against Annan. I expect a couple of changes, and that's one I'd like to see. But yeah, Balogun's a big blow. And unfortunately, I think it's more of a blow for the fact that Bassi had to cover him than the fact that that he went off, because I thought Bassi was okay at centre back, but I thought Borna Barisic, like I said in one of the chats, he seems to run in slow motion. So
yeah, we'll come on to Borna in a wee sec. Yeah, I don't want to be too harsh on. I don't like being too harsh on any Rangers player, to be honest. I'll be far more harsh on my hair. It's growing back at a ridiculous rate. We're going to have hairgate again. Brian, it really is imperative, because look, I've defended Bassi. There was a few people who said, look, no, Bassi's not good enough for centre back. And I defended him. I said, look, Bassi's not really done much wrong, but you've seen the difference when Balogun came back into that team. And we certainly cannot rely on Hollander as much as we would love to. He needs time to get back in. He's not going to be fully match sharp, and he won't be able to play every game from now until the end of the season. So we need this to be a really sharp turnaround for Balogun.
Yeah, I mean, I've always sort of worried about the left back situation from the start of the season. I always felt if Barisic had either an injury or, like he has now, loss of form, we're only relying on Bassi. And yeah, as you say, now we're down to Bassi on the left side of centre half, and then Barisic back into left back for, well, we don't know yet, but it could be the next few games. So,
and of course, Brian, the cover for Bassi then would be Leon King.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Or Sands can play in there as well, can't it?
Sands can, I suppose, yeah.
But I mean, it's we're starting to see. Luckily, we had a reasonably big squad, but it's getting depleted now, and I've always worried about left back situation, same as the goalie situation. So we've just got to keep our fingers crossed that Balogun isn't as bad as first feared.
No, if we can get like some kind of mix between Balogun and Hollander at the end of the season, get them rotated, maybe, possibly, but then you don't want to change up. Oh, do you know what? I'm not even going to think about it. Mark, Ian Ross makes a great point. When Balogun went off, we did lose momentum. Yeah. The whole team lost momentum, and it took us 10 to 15 minutes to reorganise.
Yeah, I think in the first half, Balogun was one of the ones in the team that set the tempo. I think his aggression.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, it was outstanding. Yeah, so I think he was one of the ones that set the tempo. Him, Lundstrom, pretty much set the tempo. And as I said, even Kamara was pressing. I nearly fell off my seat. But no. As I said, I thought he was outstanding. As soon as he went off, you seen there was a wee bit of uncertainty creeped in. That wee kind of 10 minutes after it. But I thought, to be fair, Big Bassy come on again. I thought it started getting a wee bit better. And I think by the end of the game, the last maybe 20 minutes, he looked assured. It looked as if he was back to his best in that centre back role again. So, see what it is.
Can I just say to Ken McKenzie, that if I said penalties had changed, I meant the way that penalties are taken has changed nowadays. There's a lot more shorter run-ups than what there used to be. It's not as if they've moved the penalty spot or told you can only shoot with your back heel. You know what I meant. Honestly, people just love winding me up. Right, let's get to some comments. And by the way, I'm using a laptop tonight, and I normally use an actual computer. So I'm like, whoa, it's doing my nothing. David Brand saying, look, might need to move with Sands. Aldo McNaught, that's why we should have got Suter in. Alex, that's a fair point, but you know, Suter's injury prone as well. So see if you look at it, see next season if we've got Hollander, Balogun, and Suter in that team, all three of them are injury prone.
Yeah, I'd like to have a nice wee tweet this week from Rangers which said that Goldson signed a new contract. As the season goes on, I'm feeling less and less likely like it's going to happen, but I have a bit of faith that he might remain at the club, and I really, really hope he does, because he is absolutely pivotal to that defence. I think today was his 200th appearance for Rangers, and I mean it's crazy because how many did he start in a row? It was the high numbers, and the guy's come back from what he had to have surgery on his heart, and that could have been the end of his career. And he's such a professional, and he's always gone the right way about it in terms of he's never gone really behind the club's back or anything. And with the contract talks or anything, nothing's come out from him or his agent or anything. And I just think he's a professional guy. And the longer he's at Rangers, the better we are.
See just to have somebody who's available as much as what Goldson is, stays as injury free as what Goldson is, that's worth its weight in gold. Mate, gold dust, I like it. Martin, you have never uttered wiser words, and yes, many of us were shouting for Suter now. Nobody's ever complimented me like that. That makes me feel a wee bit emotional. I never get the kind of compliments on here. It's normally just people slagging me. Right, back to some comments. Matt, Hollander back soon, hopefully. Yeah. Hollander won't play versus Dortmund. Well, of course he won't, because he's not in the European squad. Ian Ross, absolutely, Mark. I'm quite behind in the comments because there is just so many. Aldo McNaught, of course. Smash that like button, people. Yes, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're making our way to 5k, and a like really does help push the pod. And by the way, I'm loving people at the end coming back in with wee comments. Nobody's yet to say how handsome I am, but just saying if you want to get that. Suter played tonight. I know was he injured against Rangers? Of course, Brian. Katic will be back, I think. I don't think he will. We'll come back to the game in a minute, everybody, I promise, but we keep getting sidetracked.
Sans got his squad number, didn't he?
Yeah.
So can't see that happening.
Yeah.
As much as big Katic came back looking like the Terminator.
Well, obviously Katic is still on loan, isn't he? And and then Sans at the moment is only until the summer.
Sans is 18 months.
18 months.
Is it 18 months, right? Okay, so to the next one, but a number could still change in the summer. I don't think Katic is. A lot of people will kick me for this, but I don't think Katic has got the ability to play for us. I think he's very much the guy who wins the headers and absolutely throws himself at anything. But it makes him error prone because he takes a step out of defence and allows people in behind. I genuinely, that's my opinion on Katic. I don't think he's good enough.
Right, Alex, let me ask you then. Right now, Balogun's out. Hollander's not back yet. You're going into a game against Dortmund. Who are you having at left centre back? Are you having Calvin Bassey, or are you having Nico Katic?
Bassey.
You're having Bassey over Katic?
Yeah.
Your missus a shout and get to open that attic door. Right, actually, Alex, you mentioned it, so I'll come straight back to you. Jonathan thinks that Borna Barisic did okay. When he first came on, he looked a wee bit lost, really lacked a lot of confidence. He maybe got a wee bit better, as the game went on, but he's not in a great place right now, Barisic, is he?
No, as soon as he comes on, about 5 minutes in, he gets the yellow card.
Yeah.
And he just,
and then you're worried, by the way, because you're thinking there's a 90% chance the way this ref's going, he's going to pick up a red.
Yeah, and he just looked off. He doesn't seem fit. He doesn't seem sharp. In the second half, he was getting pelters from McGregor for letting 3 or 4 crosses over his head within the space of 10 minutes. And he like I said, he didn't seem sharp. He seemed like the same Barisic that showed up against Celtic, and that's really worrying because he's a guy that when he goes into a game with confidence, he has a right whip with his left foot, and he can get a good ball in. And when he's on his high horse, and he's in a good game, he produces the goods going forward, and he can do a job defensively, albeit his main job is as a left back. For us, is going forward. Really, he isn't as good at the back as he is going forward, but even off the ball and on the ball today, he just looked worried, and that's worrying to watch.
Well, we've got a comment in for frequent watcher Denzel. Denzel, how you doing? Maloney on the wireless saying he dominated the last 20 minutes. Very, very quickly, Brian. I don't think Maloney's spell as Hibs manager is going to last very long.
Must have been watching an old re-record or something. He wasn't
watching.
That
is. I mean, I trust Denzel, right? Because Denzel's an offer and he's a very, very smart man. But if Maloney has said that, I mean, what?
I just wanted to say that's like saying we dominated the second 45 against Celtic. That's what that is.
I know, but they didn't know. Hibs didn't.
That's like saying we played great in the first half against Celtic.
That's exactly what.
No. But what I mean is then the going on and saying like in the second half we deserved something from the Celtic game. Then in that second half, that's what Hibs had the possession, but Rangers were allowing them, and they weren't getting anything from it.
Thomas, I'm with you, buddy.
I'm not.
Alex is on about in fact, he's close to very, very close to a final written warning, just on this one podcast. Right, okay, back to the game because we're 28 minutes in and we've barely covered the game. Mark, shortly after Balogun goes off, Ryan Kent is in the box again, and surely to God it's a push by Cadden. I mean, there's nobody going to convince me that that's not a penalty. So either A, the ref has seen it, not deemed it a penalty. B, the ref hasn't seen it, which he has. Or C, he's bottled it.
Bottled it. 100% bottled it. He's just went like that. Oh, I've just gave them a penalty in the first couple of minutes. I can't give him another penalty. That's exactly what he's done. Bottled it. Because it was a stonewaller. Absolute stonewaller.
Look, Brian, it was. And we go on all the time about referees' performances. So let's touch on Nick Walsh. And it's always good to be able to speak about refs after you've won, because otherwise it just sounds like, sour grapes. He had no control over that game at all. And do you know what? For a Rangers Hibs game, it wasn't really that feisty, if I'm being brutally honest, because we had so much control. But at no point at all, really, for me, did Nick Walsh have control. And for me, he was guessing most of these decisions.
I mean, the penalty that Mark's speaking about, and you started, but I mean, he had 2 hands on him and blatantly pushed him, and it was ridiculous. And the amount of times that Cadden, and I think it was Doyle Hayes, were pulling people, pulling shirts, never got booked. I think Doyle Hayes did it twice in 5 minutes, and he never got booked yet. So I mean, you're saying that we watched the young kids play Seville the other day, and the referee was absolutely brilliant, and we lost that game. So I mean, I do fear that's 3 referees now we've came up against in the last few weeks, and all 3 of them have been pretty atrocious, if that's as good a word as you can use. And it's worrying now. That's the last 3 referees because let's be honest, the Hearts game wasn't really much happened in that game that was controversial. But as I say, that 3 games that I'm speaking about, Celtic, Aberdeen, and tonight, was some of the refereeing's just farcical, absolutely farcical.
Yeah, the refereeing is, Alex, and like I've said 1,000 times on here, and I will continue to repeat it just in case anybody new tunes in. For me, there is no doubt in my mind the refs are not biased, right? I've said it before. If you've got a team, there might be an unconscious bias where you might give a 50-50 away that you might not have gave it, right? There might be that. There probably is that, right? That to me is not really that much a big deal. The refs don't go out there and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. They try their best to officiate the games. But somebody asked the question, and with all my rambling, I have lost it. But the question basically was, is there any good referees in Scotland?
No, and I'm actually going to go out and say that the system is failing the referees, because you've got part-time refs in a full-time league. You know, I expect some of these refs to show up to my Sunday league games. So, you know, it's just, it is, I think, you know, they're not even full-time. I think that's a howler. You've got to have full-time refs in our top division. And I've got to say, I'm absolutely a big fan of VAR, but having the same refs on VAR probably isn't going to change much. It's just going to give them a second look to make the same decision. And just to go back on what Brian said, no controversy over the Hearts game. The tackle that's put Ryan Jack up wasn't even given as a foul.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like the variety and the you know.
He still put refereeing, I think.
Yeah, and it was like that all night, Mark. Do you know what? I can't remember the Hibs player's name. What was his name? Is it Jasper? A blatant pullback, and then about 4 or 5 other fouls. No yellow card. You had one of our players, I can't even remember who it was because I'm rambling. He get first challenge, gets a yellow, and then he's booking one of their players for his first challenge and then not booking one. He was just hopeless.
Yeah, I mean, the letter of the law is pulling a shirt is a booking. Automatic professional foul is a booking. So there must have been, I would say, at least 6 or 7 anyway, blatant shirt pulls that he's seen. He let play on, played the advantage, I think, 2 or 3 times. After physically seeing it, and he's waved play on, so he knows that that's a blatant shirt pull. So as soon as there's a break in the play, he should be going back and booking these players, and they never done it. All you can ask for is consistency, and I've said it, I'm blue in the face saying it, and to be fair, I'm getting fed up talking about it because it is just embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. There's no other way to describe it. It's just embarrassing. I don't know. You need to do something to fix it, and see if the SFA are watching these games and they're thinking, I mean, he's done all right. He's a wee one. It's constant.
Mm-hmm. It's constant.
And like you said, it's no biased. It's just incompetency. That's all it is. No biased. They're just no good enough. And I don't know, what do you do? Do we get some sort of a top referee in to try and train them, try and retrain them? Go, look, we're doing a 4-week intensive course here, guys. We're going to sit in seminars and talk. I don't know what you do. Personally, I would get shot at them all and bring new ones in. But as I said, something drastic needs to happen because, as I said, it's embarrassing and it's incompetency. It's just mad. Mad.
It is. No, look, you're 100% right. Look, Alan C, a bit like yourself, look, the sooner VAR comes in, the better. Mark, number 1, if VAR's in tonight, right, does it give the penalty for Kent, right? And number 2, would VAR cause more problems in Scotland than it would solve?
I think, well, you've seen that in England, it's not always spot on. I think that if it's used the correct way, I like it because it gives you that grey area. Hopefully, it gives you black and white, and it gives you, as we're watching it on telly. Obviously, if you're in the stand, you're not going to get this, but as we're watching it on TV, it's going to give you that black or white rather than the grey area 90% of the time. Obviously, there's that wee bit that's obviously there to argue the toss, but as I said, they're showing you it for 4 or 5 different angles, all these different cameras, and unless you've got really, really tinted glasses on, you should be able to step back and go, do you know what, that was a penalty. So it can only help. I'm for it. The only thing I don't like about it is these big 2 and 3 minute, 4 minute, almost 4 minute pauses in games and stuff like that, because that takes the momentum away from the game. That takes, obviously, it can kill a game. But I'm definitely for it. I think that it's definitely, sorry, in answer to your first question, second, 100% VAR gives that as a penalty. 100%.
Yeah. And Ian Ross is saying, look, this is the reason there's no Scottish refs are at the World Cup. Look, I'm not sitting here saying that Scottish refs are shocking and everywhere else they're fantastic. Some of the English refs are honking as well. But Brian, we want to focus on our own country and we want to focus on our own referees.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money at stake. And I'm not just talking about Rangers and Celtic. I'm talking about you finish fifth, you finish fourth, you finish third. For they clubs, that 100,000, 200,000 difference is massive amounts of money. So, we have to try and do something to help referees in this country, because the argument always is, well, that ref, he's a Rangers fan, that ref, he's a Celtic fan. I don't care about any of that. I just want decent referees refereeing the game to the best of their ability. And instead of having a full game of inconsistent decisions, of course they're going to make mistakes, but let's try and fucking limit them, eh?
Aye, I mean, the first one you need to get in Scotland is the goal line. I mean, that's an easy one, really. But as I've seen somebody make in the comments there, I think once you get VAR and you run the risk of scoring a goal, celebrating, and then going, oh, hold on, we have to wait for a VAR. Is it a goal? Is it not? So there's all that. But as you say, if you want to make things better, you've got to spend a bit of money and help them at least. Do the refs want it? I mean, it might not be a case that they all want VAR because they've seen what's happened in England. But something's got to change soon, because it's drastically, it's really going downhill quick, really quick.
I know, and look, I think it was you that mentioned it there, Mark. I mean, they've not even forked out the money for goal line technology, so what chance have we got to getting VAR in this country? But into the second half, Alec we were in control of most of the second half. A few chances. It wasn't the greatest second half in the world, let's be honest. But your main man, Alfredo Morelos, let's take 4 hours to talk about him. Again tonight, outstanding, dropping deep, playing in the shoulder, link-up play, the finish for his goal. Just everything about his game now is just immense. He's a level above everybody else.
Yeah, his goal was superb. He didn't even give Messi the chance to think about it before it was past him. And he did everything well. Even if the only thing that he did poorly, he did well. He takes a touch the wrong side of his foot and then still manages to get a shot off. So Morelos is he was at the centre of everything. He was, he can come back. And I seen a comment a few minutes ago. It said he played well at centre half tonight. He did. There was a few chances or a few corners Hibs had that he headed away, and he drops deep and he can get the link up play, and then he goes and runs forward and he's there. He's always an option, and his fight is just brilliant. He just really gives, that extra edge. Listen, I feel like a broken record saying this, but his presence is unbelievably needed.
Yeah, massively. I actually underplayed how important he was in work when he was away with Colombia. I mean, I know he was important, but these last few games have shown, Mark, just how incredibly important he is.
Wee man's on fire, isn't he?
Oh.
Outstanding. And I got laughed at last night for saying that I can see him scoring 20 goals at the end of the season. But the wee dude's brilliant. I know that was a bit tongue in cheek, but the wee guy brings so much to the game. And as I said, when he's on it, he's unplayable. Sometimes I think he's just a joy to watch. A wee man. He's everything that you would want a striker. He's good at coming deep. He's good at bullying. He's no just first time he comes to him, he's having a shot. He's not going to let off to anybody. He's having a shot, but he's bringing people into play and stuff like that. His hold up play was immense tonight again. Mm-hmm. Just as I said, I can't say enough about him. The wee guy's dynamite. I would give him a new contract and just say to him, how much you want, wee man. What you want, we'll just whatever you want, we'll get.
I know. I love him. I do. I must admit. Brian, his goal. This is CGM. Did I get a good evening? Did I get a good evening? I don't know if I did. His goal was one of the harder chances. Typical Morelos. He misses 3 easier chances and scored that one. Brian, can you name me a former Rangers striker who maybe missed 1 or 2, maybe even 3 chances, but always scored the 4th and the 5th?
Super.
There you go. It doesn't matter how many chances you miss in a game, as long as you score some of them.
Mm-hmm. But I think Kevin Thompson said it in the co-commentary. If you give Morelos a chance where he's got about half a second to think about it, he'll score. Whereas if he's running in on goal in a one-on-one, you don't really fancy him to score it because he's got too much time to think. I think if Morelos has got a split second to think of what he's going to do, he'll more than likely score it. Whereas if he's got time, he'll just struggle. But I think the Hibs Hearts games, he's just been back and he's just thought, right, I'm seriously hacked off of not playing for Colombia at all.
Yeah.
And he's taken out all his aggression on Hibs and Hearts.
He's looking to prove a point on it.
He's totally thought, right, I'm gonna show you what I'm all about.
Alex he's irreplaceable, isn't he? I mean, I know we say it all the time, nobody's irreplaceable, but if he goes in January, and we don't, how do you replace an Alfredo Morelos?
Not with a Cedric Kitten anyway. I hope he listen. This is the kind of guy that he cost us. He was an absolute bargain at 1 million, and for me, or a lot of people will be looking at the financial side, and you're thinking how much of a profit you can make on Morelos. But honestly, I just hope he stays. I just want him to stay now. The financial benefits. Wow, okay, that would be brilliant. But what he brings on the pitch can bring us, so much more. In terms of, financially, like we say, that top spot is worth so much for so many reasons, and money plays a big part in that. And that's the reason that a lot of people said, right, well, at the start of the season, we have a choice here. We can let Goldson go in the summer and try and get a fee for him, or the guy might go for free, but we're going to be financially better off because of the performances he can put in. Morelos is the same, except I'd never let him leave for free. I would keep him to the day he retires, because, and I think he might. Maybe that is that that confidence that's just total and utter bias. But I'd absolutely love Morelos to stay for Rangers, and you can see he might, because his connection with the club, the fans, and I think if we can get a bit of consistency with say, like he loved Gerrard, and clearly he's loving life under Van Bronckhorst. If we can get a bit of consistency with backroom staff, etc., and keep that on for a while, get a bit of success, I don't see any reason why Morelos would want to leave.
Is it no crap, Mark, nowadays that, and look, Alex is right. And what he says, that we can't discuss a footballer now. We can't enjoy a footballer without having to bring up that. I mean, how much can we get from how much? What's the sell-on percentage fee going to be in this guy? Because that's all it's been for the last 2 years, and not just Morelos, Aribo, Kent, Kamara. Can we not just enjoy the players while we've got them?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's one of these things, but it's always that it's where we are as a club at the minute. That's just how it is. We are.
Is that not where modern day football is now?
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't matter what club you're.
Unless you're massive, unless you're a massive club, then yeah, 100%. Everybody's got a price, and I think that, like you said, enjoy these players while we've got them. I think that the squad we've got just now is, obviously they've done 55, but for me they're a special squad. For me, it's very rare that you get so many good players for absolute buttons and put them all together and for them all to click the way they've all clicked. Don't get me wrong, we've had wee sticky spells here and there and wee bumps in the road, but you think about the players, Glenn Kamara, Aribo, I mean, the whole midfield's almost free. We've not paid anything for any of them. I mean, Morelos, $1 million, 1.5 million. Frightening. I mean, you need to look at these players and like you say, just enjoy them while we've got them. Because I'll tell you right now, a lot of them will not be here in the summer. I don't think. They're going to need to. They're going to need to break their wage structure to keep.
You nearly sent Alex out the attic, yeah.
I know, but I'm just being realistic. Do you know what I mean? This is why we're talking about the amounts of money, because the only reason we're trying to put a balance on it. We're trying to go like that. Do you know what? These guys are that good that we're only going to let them go if somebody comes in and goes, there's 20 million. Although it's going to be a sore one. That 20 million, you said, well, how do you replace them? Well, you replace them because you need to spend lots of cash to replace them. We've been very, very lucky, and I know I'm saying lucky, but I know it's been good recruitment as well. But you don't get hundreds of Rebos cutting about. There's no hundreds of Morelos cutting about. There's no for the money that you're paying. Do you know what I mean? They're just no there. It's like almost like it's all came together at the one time, and we've got a squad of fantastic players that we've brought in for buttons and are all worth fortunes now. And like you said, let's just enjoy them while we've got them. Let's not talk about money. Let's just see. I tell you what, we'll just try and offer them as much as we can possibly, and hopefully playing in front of 50,000 and our fans and winning trophies in Europe is enough for them to go, do you know what? This is where I want to be. So, as I said, it's one of these things. But yeah, like you said, Jay, let's just enjoy them while we've got
them. M family. Mark, looks like there's a queue at the brothel with those curtains. They're taking the pressure right off of Alex.
You need to tell them I'm an undertaker. This is a mortuary.
Aye. What's your finishing move?
I think the difference is, though, Martin, when we were like obviously youngsters, we were spoiled with the McCoists, the Goffs, the McCalls, the Gorhams, the Davy Robertsons, all these guys who were wanted to play for Rangers, and they seen Rangers as the tip. They didn't want to go anywhere else. It's a totally different landscape now. You've got guys that Rangers were paying far more than Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal back in the day. And nowadays the landscape's completely different. We can't compete with these teams now. We can't even compete with the bottom league in the English Premier League with money. So that's the whole problem now. The whole landscape's just changed completely.
David Whitelaw, Martin talks bull. That's well established. You didn't have to tell everybody, but it's well established. The rest of a clear agenda, keep booking their defenders 5 in 2 games. Look, that's fine. That's your opinion. I'm just giving you my opinion. And yeah, I talk bullshit quite a lot of the time, David. That's why I normally ask the questions and try not to go off in tangents, and I let these guys answer it. Is there only one man in the match tonight? Alex, I just noticed changing the attic.
He is in the attic.
She kicked you out really quickly. Is there only one man in the match tonight, Alex?
Yes, got to be Morelos. I think you got to give honourable mentions to Lindstrom and Taff, but Morelos has got to be man of the match.
Yeah. Brian, Alex just mentioned them there. We're going to finish shortly, but another solid performance for Lindstrom.
Yeah, I mean, he had a spell early in the season where he won 3 or 4 man matches in a row, and you were kind of thinking that was him staking his claim to stay in the team, but he got taken out of the team and then was a bit part player, and he's come back in, and I think he's looked really good. You can't take anything away from him. He's looked the part. He's sprayed balls. He's kept it simple when he had to. He's looked really good. Looking forward to seeing more of him.
Yeah, so I just caught sprayed balls, and it took me fit there. Curry Muncher, Martin slagging somebody's curtains when he's stolen a deck chair for Burnt Island for his roll-up line. Listen, that was it. That was it when I moved in, and I'm just not bothered replacing it. Jeez, oh man, that's a bit harsh. You can tell we're on a good mood tonight. So, Mark, how are we feeling now? Look, that's 2 games on for the debacle. That's 2 very, very comfortable wins, 2 very good performances. Listen, there's still improvements to make. We're not going to sit here and lie and say the garden's completely rosy. But how are you feeling now?
Feeling a lot better than it was a couple of weeks ago. But I feel as if just now the penny's dropped with this team. I think they've realised that this is the standards. This is what we demand from them. And the difference, I think they've realised themselves, I think they've given themselves a wee bit of a shock to say, do you know what? Do you see how good we are when we put a bit of desire in there? And when we press higher up the park, it's absolutely night and day. So the only reason they can't put that effort in is if they're not fit enough. To me, they're professionals, they're athletes, they've got to be fit enough. So there's no excuse. That's the baseline. That intensity is the baseline. We've got the players to pass anybody to death. It's never been in question. But with that intensity and the players we've got, then it's definitely the only way is up for me. But they need to keep that up. It's that whole consistency thing. The benchmark's there. They've done it themselves. Now, if they fall below that, they're not going to be in the side. And I think, going back to Lundstrom, I think Lundstrom's, the penny's dropped to him as well. I think he's realised that this is what you need to do week in, week out to be a Rangers player. This is what you need to do week in, week out to win over the fans. And I think he realises that the club that he's at's massive. And I think he's like, do you know what? This is a bit of me. This is what I'm after. So hopefully he kicks on. As I said, I think now we can put to bed that Lundstrom's pish. I think that the people that are slagging him and saying, the boys, there was always a player there. There was always a player there. I just think that the penny's just dropped, and now he's doing what he needs to do. And I think, to be fair, if he keeps playing the way he's doing, he's going to be the first name in that team sheet.
I know. And look, we could go into Sakala coming on. We could touch on Ramsey, who needs a lot more, I think, than 15, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. We could touch on Diallo. We could be here for about another hour, but we're not going to. That's it. Martin, can you get Harry Potter to say Winoso Barroso? Who's Harry? Oh, Alex Harry Potter.
Well, if he says that, don't tell me that.
I'll tell you that, Curry Munter's on man tonight, isn't he? What that'll do is there. Rangers 2, Hibs 0. Very, very good performance. Patchy in places. With a little dry spell. No, I was going to do the weather there. No, that'll do is we are back on Friday with the preview show. The preview show is always pre-recorded. So if because it goes out on Patreon and out for the YouTube members first. If you want to help support the podcast, you can do that. Links are in the description. Please do follow on Twitter, follow on Facebook, follow on Instagram, retweet and tweet. I don't know all that lovely stuff. Please do like and subscribe as well. Like I say, we have Patreon, we have the YouTube memberships, plenty of extra content on there if you want to help support the channel. So we won't see you because it's pre-recorded, but we'll be back on Friday with a preview show, and of course we'll have reaction to the Annan game. So that could be quite interesting to see team lineups and stuff like that as well. Everybody have a good night. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon.